Well, good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Shepard here. I am so glad to be with you on another edition of Ask the Doctors. I have the privilege of coming to you live from my home studio, and just so good to see so many of you all that are going to join in and have joined in already. I am the Chief Medical Director of Hope Health Systems, which is the sponsor for this particular broadcast. I just want to welcome you to the show, and I appreciate all of you all who have even gone back to watch the replay. And I really do think that this show is one that will be helpful for so many, for especially those who have Black men in their lives. I just want to kind of set the stage for what we're going to do today. This is February, and it is Black History Month, and this is part of the Black History series. And I'm proud to present a group of people who are going to come on with me, and we're going to talk about the state of health of the Black male within the United States of America. Such a powerful, significant topic, especially right now as we continue to progress through the COVID-19 pandemic, as we progress through the various ills that are occurring within our societies. Please, I want people to go and share right now. As our guests will be coming on, they're going to introduce themselves, and I'll be sharing and liking and making sure that people are aware that we are on. Yes, I want to tell you that our Black men are in need of help. And it is my duty, is my privilege to be able to come to you today to be able to bring you some really good information that hopefully will be helpful for you and for all those who have Black men within your lives. So let me just say this: Hope Health Systems, where I work, is a mental health organization. We are based in Woodlawn, Maryland, which is a suburb of Baltimore, Maryland. And if you're in need of any mental health care, treatment, you can call us, you can email us, you can go to our website, and I'll give our website here, hopehealthsystems.com. And you can actually go right there and do a referral right online if you're in need of help. So many are in need of mental health care. And don't let your insurance stop you. Don't let anything stop you. If you're afraid, you're nervous, it's understandable, but don't let that stop you from reaching out for help. If you know you're struggling, if you know that your state of health, especially your mental health, is not well, we want to help you. And so I say often that we'll do you some good if you come on through. So hopehealthsystems.com. And we want to make sure that everyone is aware of the resources that are available to them. So, with that, I want to get ready to introduce our panelists, our guests for today. I have the privilege of knowing both of these gentlemen through their profession and personally, and I'm really excited about what they're going to add to this discussion. It's going to be a robust, healthy discussion. And I really want you to buckle your seatbelts because I really think this can be something that is helpful and life saving to the man in your life, or even to yourself if you are a man. So I want to bring on first Dr. Antonio Graham. And how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great, my brother. Good to see you. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Let the people know who you are, what you do, and where you're at, and all that good stuff.
Sure. So I'm Dr. Graham, as Dr. Shepard already said. I am a geriatrician, meaning that I take care of adults that are 65 and older is my primary focus, but I'm an internal medicine doc as well by training. I am on faculty at Emory University School of Medicine as an assistant professor, and I also have a dual appointment as a staff physician and geriatrician at the Atlanta VA. So I primarily take care of men, honestly, veterans who are 75 actually for VA standards and up. I am right now based in Atlanta, Georgia, I moved here about 6 years ago from Baltimore, Maryland. I did my geriatrics fellowship at Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. So I have been, here for 6 years.
Wow. Wow. I was just telling other guests that can't believe that it's been 6 years already, and had
Yes.
the privilege of even working together with Dr. Graham, some people that I knew, and was able to refer them over to him. And he did a wonderful job in taking care of those persons. And so, thank you. And he does also have his own podcast, and
Yes.
we'll mention it now, and we'll mention it also at the end of the show. So, come on, tell people a little about your podcast, and then we'll bring on our next guest.
All right. Yeah, my podcast is called And the Question Is with Dr. Graham. It's more of a lifestyle podcast. We talk about everything, current events, culture, mental health, like you name it, so to speak. We have discussions around it. I call it my way to have conversations that people are having privately, but to have it publicly. So that's my podcast. So check it out if you're interested.
That's good, good, good. And so what we'll do by the end, we'll have that in the comment section so people can go back and watch and I'm sorry, listen to the podcast so they can go back and listen. I wish you watch this broadcast, but go back and listen to the podcast. And I am so grateful. He asked for me to be on there, so I'm
Yes.
looking to go back and hear what we discussed. So yes, sir. All right, let's bring on next guest, a young man who I have known for a large part of his life. Yes, I'm not that old, but I've known him for most of his life. How you doing, Dr.
I am
Aubrey Hill?
good. I am good. It's so good to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Good, 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 good. Man, we got to fix your light in just a little bit.
I know.
Yeah, you know. Okay.
Here
All
we
right,
go.
there we go. Okay.
Hopefully we can get a little brighter here.
All right, there we go. There we go. Yeah, there we go. All right, a little bit better. Now, tell the people a little bit about yourself, okay?
Yeah. So I am a psychologist at MedStar Georgetown's WISE Center, which stands for Wellbeing in School Environments. And I'm from Chicago originally, so that's how Jonathan and I know each other. As he said, he has known me for most of my life. But with that being said, I've lived in DC for about 7 years now, completing my postdoc at MedStar Georgetown right now. And I do a lot of work related to adolescents and adults, really around racial trauma, stress, anxiety, depression, you name it, but really trying to help heal people, and especially men, in ways that they can feel like they're utilizing tools to deal with the stress of life. Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's great. And so I'm looking forward to see what you're going to add onto this conversation as we talk about the state of health of Black men. So I am just privileged to be in conjunction with these men on this show today. And so what I want to do is I want to start this conversation out. Dr. Graham, I want to start with you because you really have been helpful in being able to see what's happening right now in the pandemic to our Black men in particular. And so if you would just kind of give a quick summary of what you're seeing, whether people are keeping up with their appointments. And again, I don't want to steer your answer, but just give us a layout of what you're seeing, especially in relation to Black men.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Shepherd. I think that we are clearly in the midst of a mental health crisis, I think. In addition to that, though, and I'll talk about that as well, I think primary care, routine screenings, and other things are also suffering because, initially when we didn't know as much about the virus, how there was so much fear, right? People just didn't even want to leave their homes, even if they had a mask or before the vaccine. There was still just this level of fear that I think a lot of people put off routine health screenings. But I feel like now in the unvaccinated population, which, that's a whole conversation. We have quite a few in our community that are not vaccinated. So I think that also then causes more fear of moving about. So therefore, healthcare is kind of like to the back burner in terms of them taking care of themselves. And then on the mental health front, as I'm sure Dr. Harrison can speak to this even better than I, that we already kind of had a disparity as it relates to Black men reaching out and getting mental health. And so now we put this pandemic where now, let's say, people who really do have mental health issues are now under the stress of, some were taking care of children with virtual learning at home who've never taught anything, right? And they got to do that and trying to work and manage being like maybe with their significant other or spouse all the time without this outlet of being able to leave freely. So you have all of that happening, right? And so I think with all of that, we are seeing in our emergency departments, in mine in particular, I can speak to in the VA, that people are coming in where there's more suicide. I guess I would say non-successful suicides, not attempts, but just in general, I think those numbers are up. Just like the population, you're seeing it more there. I'm seeing it as well. And I'm seeing it more in Black men than I did previously. And so
Wow.
I think that this all goes back to there was already this disparity between Black men having access to care and then seeking it, right? Because of our cultural norms. So it's like the perfect storm, right? Of all of those things. And then, as I was saying to you, Black men already weren't necessarily getting routine screenings as much as they needed to. And then now even that's being impaired. So from my view, those are kind of some of the, like that, not all the problems, but those are the major ones if I had to sum them up.
Gotcha. And those are things that are negatively affecting our health,
Yeah.
affecting the health of the Black man. And I hear you on that. Dr. Harrison, thank you, sir. All right. He just changed his environment. Isn't it amazing what happens when you change your environment?
Yeah, I had to make sure I was seen.
We want you to be seen and heard, not just heard.
Right.
That's right. I'm surprised that your friend Cody Kelly, who is that's one of my favorite people, who's one of your peers from Loyola, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great guy. Y'all got some good people up there, Loyola, and I'm surprised he would send you a text about.
I know.
Can't he would do that. I'm thankful that you're out there, Cody. But why don't we hear from you? What factors do you see that are affecting the state of health of the Black man?
Yeah, I think Dr. Graham, he really spelled it out in an amazing way, and really just talking about like the health factors, like really the physical health factors, but also the mental health factors. And in addition to that, I think because we have this dual pandemic, right, that is still persisting, right? It's basically endemic now, right? We are dealing with COVID, and the world is trying to push on with that. And then we've dealt with racism for hundreds of years, right? But an asterisk got put on these last 2 years where it just literally got spotlighted. And so for the Black man, it's like, wow, my life has been put on the spotlight. And now all the factors that I dealt with in silence are coming to light now. And so it is kind of like this, I call it like racial trauma, right? Health trauma. It's traumatic in nature. And trying to figure out like, how do I actually deal with this? Because my post-traumatic syndrome, my post-traumatic stress disorder is here, but nobody ever told me what to do with it because this is just what I'm supposed to do. So I think that's part of the factor that we're experiencing is like we're going through two pandemics that exacerbate this experience that has been a part of our lives for a long time. Yeah.
Wow. That makes a lot of sense. Because one of the things that I have continued to chew on, especially during the pandemic, is the weight that all of us carry. When the pandemic started, it came out of the blue, a lot of anxiety, anger, apathy, the 3 A's I talk a lot about. But when you're already carrying a load, as Black men do, to put something on top of that load can literally tip you over. I don't know if anybody ever been carrying something in both hands, and then someone just puts a little thing on top. You play one of those games. I think it's Jenga and some of these others that as you build things, all you gotta do is take one little piece out and put it on top, and what happens? It topples over. And so I hear what you all are saying. I want to discuss some of these weights and some of these challenges. You all have done a great job at opening up about them, but I want to dive in a little bit deeper because as we talk about these weights and challenges, I hopefully will be able to help people to identify. A lot of people out there don't think that we're able to identify. And when I say we, even man to man, well, nobody understands what I'm going through. You don't, you don't really hear what I have to say, Dr. Shepherd. Let's speak to that. I want to discuss some of these weights and challenges that we carry as men. Dr. Graham.
Yeah, that's a great question, Dr. Shepherd. And I'm over here like, where do I start? Because there's so many that we carry. But I think one is shame of admitting help. It is in our community in particular, and I'm a Black man, so I think I can speak to this fairly. Um, we have this kind of masquerade that our masculinity is tied to at least an illusion that we have it all together. Or if we don't have it all together, you won't know because it's not safe for you to know. And if I let you know, now I got to worry about what you're going to do with the information. Are you going to use it against me? Are you going to hold it over my head, so to speak, right? And then how's this going to make me look to all the people that I find important in my life if it gets out? So if you think about that, that's a lot of things to traverse, right? So if I got to go through all of that in order to be vulnerable and have a discussion, let alone with another brother or another Black man per se, but if, for whoever our significant others are in our lives, our parents, people that, siblings, whoever that loves us, how do we go through like all of those barriers, right? To have those discussions. And so in my mind, when a man does find, Black man in particular, a safe space, whoever that is, they have found a gold mine when they do find it, because so many of us are suffering in silence and don't feel as though we can just kind of let the load down, right? And I'm not saying we need to let the load down to everybody, because we don't. But if we find a space that is safe, and again, if that's a therapist, if that is someone from your church or whatever your religious community is, like whoever that is, we need to find that, a friend, whatever, and do that. But in my opinion, that's one of the greatest barriers. So it's like that shame then is linked to pride, right? And so you got those two together, which are kind of a dangerous combination for isolation, which then leads to destruction, typically of some sort.
Yeah. And I'll add to that, because I think that is so great that it's important to think about that as happening throughout the lifespan, right? And so, we think about us as men, as Black men, and it's like, how did Black men get to this point, right? Like, like Black men should be able to be vulnerable, right? But really and truly, the messaging since we've been kids, infants, toddlers, has been, you are not allowed to show emotion. You are not allowed to be vulnerable. And truly, you are not allowed to cry. How many times have we been in the grocery store and literally seen a mother, a parent, someone saying to a young Black boy, shut up, stop crying, hold it together, right? And it's like, this child is 3, right? This child is 3. But if we think about that messaging, how many times a day is that message presented? And then how many times, throughout the life has that become ingrained so much to the point where it's like, I believe it, I hold it, and it actually doesn't feel good to be vulnerable, because to be vulnerable means that I'm being like antithesis to what it means to be myself, right? I'm not comfortable in that space. I've never known what it meant to be in that space. And when I was in that space, even as a child, I wasn't allowed to do this. So
Yeah.
I think it's really like it's so important to think about it in that way, because as we try to break it down, we're breaking down decades of this like ingrained message that not only comes from families, sometimes that even comes from families, but comes from society,
Mm-hmm.
comes from the media, comes from just the worldview of Black men, to the point where it's like, who else, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And, you know, you said something, Dr. Graham, that stuck with me, and thank you, Dr. Harrison. You know, I'm calling you a doctor, you know, Antonio Aubrey. But it really stuck with me because you're talking about the sense of pride. Now, one of the things that we talk about in this country is about being having a sense of pride. Like, I want to have national pride. Like, I'm American. I'm a Black American. Say it loud. I'm Black and I'm proud. So that pride. But we have to remember that there is a caveat that goes along with pride. You know, pride also will work against wisdom. Mhm. Pride will work against wisdom. How is that possible? Um, so you got me stirred up because wisdom requires humility. So if the two are connected and the opposite of humility is pride, then that lets me know that wisdom and how to be able to conduct yourself in things such as knowing when and where to speak and how to speak, that is something that we really have to work at. So it's great to have pride, but we need to make sure that we have it in check and in balance. Just wanted to state that. So you all have said some wonderful things. Thank you, Mr. Nichols, who was out there. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. You're right. We need to hear this messaging. But Cody says something, and I know it says Vernon Kelly, but his first name is Cody. He has this question about where are safe places, man. I know he's coming for me. Where are the safe places? The viable hubs designed for protection, development, and resource. Wonderful question. Who's going to take it first?
So,
Go
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say that. So I'll speak for myself, and then I'll speak generally. I think you have to look for it, right? And you got to validate it, because, as I said earlier, every space is not a safe space. Even people who are well intended, they're not all safe spaces, right? And I guess the other thing I want to say is that it doesn't happen sometimes immediately, right? It takes a little bit of time, and it's trial and error. Um, I'll just again speak from my own experience. There's a good friend of mine who I would say he literally knows everything about me. Like, yeah, like I don't feel like there's anything I can't say to him. And you know how it's good to have one person like that, that you feel like, I mean, like, there's nothing that I don't feel like I can say to him. And it's same, vice versa, he can say to me. But that didn't happen like as soon as I met him. I met him in medical school. We've been friends literally since anatomy first year. And Jonathan knows that's a bonding experience. But anyway, from that till now has now become a friend that, like, I trust him, but that trust has been built over time. And even, to be honest, and I think for especially us as Black men, conflict. I'll be honest, we've had some conflict that has driven us closer. Yeah, I would tell you guys this story, but I don't want to take too much time. But I say that to say the conflict, without giving you the detail of the conflict, has made us closer, because we found out at the end of that is, so we just had something that most people would be fighting. Like, by now, like this thing that just went down, most brothers would be fighting, right? And we at the end of it was like, yeah, I don't know why that went like that, and I don't know why you felt like that, but okay, we know now going forward that we got to move forward from that. And it was really like that organically. It wasn't even like it was like, yeah, that was bad, and you're my boy, right? And we're good, so we're gonna move forward. And from that day to now, to be honest, I know he's one of those like anything safe spaces, because that was tested. And there's even, I'll be a little bit biblical, like my brother, the elder pastor over here, and say, like, they say a faith untested is not real faith. And I think similarly to a safe space has to be tested to be deemed safe. And so I say that I don't want to just give you that without giving you practical. So, the first thing, you try something that you don't really care if it gets out, right? you start with little things and you see if people can prove themselves in that. And then as you feel like whatever that safe space relationship is develops and grows, then you'll be able to tell and know that it's a space that you can land. And if it's like, significant other, if it's somebody at church, if it's whoever, some people are fortunate to have multiple people that they feel like they can be completely themselves and vulnerable with. I really feel like for me, it is just one, like completely, like nothing's off limits, this one person. And I've, again, developed that over time. So I say to men, be wise as you're choosing where you're sitting, because honestly, none of us can lay our heads everywhere, but we need to have at least one place, if I had to say that. I'm gonna let Dr. Harrison take it from there.
Yeah. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? Like it does, like it has to be tested to be deemed a safe space.
Yeah.
And it grows over time. So,
Right.
I have friends that I have known since high school, and we've shared some things, but I would say only in the last 10 years have we really dug deep and said, like, yo, I'm dealing with this, right? As my brothers, it's like Black brothers who are like supportive and stuff. But it was, as you said, Dr. Graham, like literally me testing the waters and then testing those waters with me, because I think another narrative and sometimes an experience is that, like, society tells me that, like, all people are not to be trusted, right? And then my brother, I really don't know if I can trust him, because is he trying to climb just like I'm trying to climb? So I just got to compete, right? Like, it's just kind of that nature in that. But when we really find people who we're like, oh, I can trust you, it takes time to build. So, when I think about resources, right? Like, so right now there are resources like, I think it's Black Men Heal, or Men to Heal. And they have like something called a King's Corner, where you can sign up and like just kind of share with a bunch of other brothers, right? And I think that is like a step in the right direction, where it gives brothers a toe to put into this space of like, I'm going to try it and see if it feels okay to me. If it doesn't feel okay, then I'm going to keep moving.
And, and I'm going to lead into this question. I thank you, Cody, because you're asking some thought-provoking questions. But I want to just demonstrate an illustration. So when the Rams beat the San Francisco 49ers just 2 weeks ago, there was a little bit of a controversy at the end of the game of between Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ, I'll just say it like that, and what's that guy's name who just know how to run all over the place on San Francisco? Samuel. Man, why I can't think of his name?
Samuel, you're right.
Yeah, I can't think of his first name.
Yeah.
But people were getting an OBJ for going over there and like greeting him and going over there and like consoling him because he was crying. I don't know if y'all saw that.
Yeah, I did.
And
I did.
I remember seeing that. I was like, oh, I know they're gonna play on this. I remember, because it was just natural. And sure enough, why he over there? He should have been over there with his team. But this is a perfect illustration of another Black man honoring the competition between his competitor, and recognizing it and knowing what that felt like. And so people ragged on it like, what's wrong with you? But that's exactly what we need. And so, Cody brings up, by your own words, Dr. Antonio, are you admitting that this safe place is only created through social engagement and human social webbing, as he calls it? Is there no institution that exists for this purpose of a safe place. What do you say, Dr. Antonio?
Yeah, so I honestly feel like if you want to talk about it from an institutional standpoint, um, I think if you're thinking about like a therapist, okay, since we got Dr. Harrison on here, he can speak to this probably even better than I. But by law, a therapist, I guess, short of like things that are illegal, right? Um, he has to, in his profession, keep secret. Well, we do too. HIPAA is for everybody. We have to keep, so to speak, secrets, right? And the privacy of patient information is the proper term. And so because we're charged to do that, you could say, could say that a therapist then is a legally created safe space, right? Because what's shared with the therapist cannot be short of, again, legalities. Other than that, can't be shared with anyone. So if you don't feel like you can create it, or there's a person or a testing of whoever is in your village you're connected to that you can form that, then another, and I'm not saying they have to be one or the other, it can be both. You can have a therapist and you can have a village, or at least one or two people, as Dr. Harrison said, that you've tested enough that it is a safe space. But I want to include therapy as a safe space because it is, it's by law mandated safe space. And in addition, once you have kind of a good relationship with a therapist as well, which is very important. I think I don't want to take this is Dr. Shepard. I don't want to take the question in a different direction, but I was just going to say briefly, I was having a really rich discussion with a Black man about therapy. And he was saying to me he had gone to this therapist and he was really disappointed because he was like, man, I thought therapy was going to make me feel better. And I left out of there broken. And I said to him, well, it's almost like that analogy, right? Like you got to be broken first before you can be healed. And yeah, so I mean, a good therapist brings up all your stuff, right? And they should, because what you want to do is then begin to do that work. And I said to him, I was like, yeah, the best therapist I had the first time I went, I was like, oh my God, I cried for 2 hours after it was over. Because there was a bunch of stuff I think I had like, thrown to the back of my brain. And he really, I mean, with the questions that he asked and these open-ended probing questions, which is what Dr. Harrison knows very well, that you should do, he got it. He hit it. He got me right in there to pull out some stuff that I was like, whoa, I thought I was okay with that. Oh, actually, I'm not. You know what I mean? But I'm giving you that example to say some Black men I have spoken with about barriers to even going to therapy, i.e. safe space, was then they didn't want to really deal with the trauma. So I think these are two separate issues from what you're asking, Dr. Shepard. But I think one is just knowing the space exists and seeking it, i.e. therapy, or safe space designees.
Want to jump in, Aubrey?
Yeah, I'll jump in there. I think the one of the institutions is therapy, and with psychologists and therapists and social workers and things like that. And the way in which I think about it, like you, Dr. Graham, when you were saying it, like by law, right? By law, I cannot share anything except for things that break confidentiality.
Right.
And for me, that is the one thing that I make sure I say right out the gate. And when I say that, I literally see Black men almost take a breath, right? Because there is that feeling of like you're testing the waters, right? There's that feeling like, can I trust you? Because I haven't been able to trust anybody, right? And so they're testing that. And the one way I say it that I always try to use, I'm like, I am your best friend that nobody knows about. Unless you tell them, right? And nobody, like, I'm not telling any of your business because I can't, right?
Right.
And they're like, what do you mean by that? And then I go a step further. I'm like, so if I see you on the street, I literally have to ignore you and act like I don't know you unless you actually say, hey, Aubrey. And I still can't say, hey, I'm your therapist, right? Like, I can't say those things. And it's like, I never knew that was what like you had to do. I'm like, well, yeah, Like I want to give you that context, right? So I try to make it a safe space.
Right.
But I think about another institution that um, I think about both of you all being a part of, and I think like even in the doctor's room, right? Like in the medical room, when you're sitting in the chair and things like that, it can become a safe space when you feel that comfort from a, and I'll just say a point blank, from a Black person, right? Like
Mhm.
especially a Black man, right? Like I know when I walked into a room and the physician was Black, I'm like, oh, hey brother,
Right.
like how you
Right.
doing?
Right.
I feel like I'm gonna be taken care of, right? A little bit better than someone else, and that's just me, right?
Mhm.
Um, so I say it like that because there is that level of comfort, and there are Black therapists, Black men who are therapists in this field who are doing it so that we can create that comfort. And Black doctors like the two of you all who are literally seeing people and saying, I got you, and your health is important to me. um,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. No, this is great. This is great. Pin right there. Debo Samuel. All right. That's going to bother me if I can get
Yes.
his name right.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Debo Samuel. I like to make sure I corrected that. But this has been so good because we talk about these areas that we need to develop more trust. Um, you're right, Aubrey. People do feel comfortable when they come to see me. It's a mixed bag, though. I'll be honest with you,
mm,
because people don't want to come to see a mental health professional.
Right.
Okay, so if they do, they want you to come and endorse what they're already doing, and so that you will say that they're okay.
Hmm.
Uh, Many of them, okay, not all of them, but many of them, they don't want to be there. If they got to be there, they want you to say, hey, there's not really anything wrong with you. It's You're okay doing what you're doing. You might just want to tweak a few things here or there. And unfortunately, that's not the case. Not when you
Right.
get to most psychiatrists. There really is a serious need that is there that needs to be met. Let me tell you, it is very hurtful, when you are sitting across from where I'm sitting and you see Black men who are there, and they're really struggling. They don't trust, and you try to identify with them, yet still upholds some level of standard of care. Um, it can be very difficult. It'd be very challenging for me. I'll be honest with you.
Hmm.
Um, and I want to transition into this because I've been thinking about some personal experiences that I have as a Black man, and I want you to share with the people, if you don't mind. Be as transparent as you choose. But I've been thinking about these ups and downs that we traversed through our journey, and I think you're sharing some of these experiences will help those persons who are going to listen to this particular broadcast. I know it will, because so many people, they look at me, for instance, and I am done here, and say, you don't understand me. And yet, and still, when I break things down to them, I do understand you. I may not have been where you lived at, but when I let you know what I've been through, there's a lot of commonalities through that. So, share with us. I'm gonna do reverse order. Aubrey, just if you don't mind, what are some of these ups and downs that you've had? Even maybe within your profession as a Black man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think one of the biggest like ups and downs that I've had is um, for me professionally, right? Being the only Black man in my program
Wow.
and watching predominantly white people breeze through it in a way in which it's like, why am I being held to such a higher standard than them? Right.
Mm.
And being so frustrated with that process, right? Like, I feel attacked as a Black man, right? I feel like, like you think that I'm not good enough, right? Like that feeling.
Mm.
And I think that like has, permeated through like a lot of different threads of my life is like, in education, as you try to climb the ranks of education, you often get those hurdles where it's like, why is nobody advocating for me like they're
Mhm.
advocating for them, right?
Mhm.
Why
Mm.
do I have to like literally jump like 10 times higher just to make that bar that you let somebody step over? Like
Wow.
those are like the experiences that I feel like I've had. Um, and then I think like, I like to name this for myself. Sometimes like people don't think that therapists see therapists, right? And so like I've been in therapy before, but I've also struggled with finding a good therapist, right? And
Mhm.
especially a therapist of color.
Mhm.
Um, and like that's real because I'm like, well, do I really want to tell somebody my problems? Because like I listen to
Wow.
everybody else's problems all day. And do I think this person is actually going to get it? So that struggle, I think, also happens for me, um, because it is just part of that process of like, I got to trust you too,
Mhm.
and feeling that. So those are just some of the feelings that I've definitely felt, and experienced. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. No, great. Thank you for sharing, Dr. Graham.
Yeah, it's funny. I had like all these thoughts while you were speaking, Aubrey, about multiple things, but I'm going to condense it to this two things. Tell you guys this a brief story. So I take care of older black men, and as you guys could imagine, older black men is a whole other kind of the stigma and other things associated with what masculinity means,
Yeah.
safe spaces, all of that, right? But I give you that because I was taking care of a one of my oldest patients, which I have to say in a way that's general. And he's old. He's a World War II vet, and I was saluting him because he'd been featured in a media publication, and they were basically talking about his valor and da 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 da. And so I had said to him, in my brain, very innocently, I'm so proud, of you and your service to our country and what you've done. And Dr. Shepard and Dr. Harrison, he's a very like easygoing, very actually nice man. Um, he stopped, he paused, and all of a sudden he just like burst into full blown tears.
Mm.
And I was like, I don't know what I did to cause that because all I said was, I'm proud of your service in World War II. So again, like I think everybody, right? Selfishly, you think it's about you. It wasn't
Yeah.
about he after he got himself together, and I just let him have the moment, right? Because as a black man, we went to see, I'm sure he probably has been holding that in for 50 years.
Yeah.
And when he finished, he said to me, Dr. Graham, can I just tell you this? Black men in World War II, we were treated like dung. He said, when you brought that up, I don't know why this flashed back for me, but something you said triggered this.
Mm.
He said, I was stationed in France. There was a river that ran through the area that we were serving, and the white soldiers were all like upriver from us, and we were downriver. So he said, of course, right? This is all the water we had. So they pooped in it, they peed in it, they washed their clothes in it, and we were downriver from them. And when you said that, you triggered me back to like us seeing poop come down the river, that we got to wash our clothes, and it's all black men in this regiment.
Mm.
um, like just further letting us know where we stand, right? Even over here, where we're fighting for this country and the freedoms of this nation, we are still downriver from their crap
Mm.
that's coming to us.
Ooh, that's
And
heavy.
I tell you
That's
guys,
heavy.
that did something in me that whole day. Like after I saw him, I was still not well. Like I was
Yeah.
not well. And I'll tell you, the conclusion of that matter was this for me.
Mm.
I was telling another black faculty member this. I said, we have got to stop telling the other people that we're okay when we're not okay.
Wow.
And know that the mantra in our community is that we know keep it together, Hold it down. Don't tell them that we're hurting because they'll take that for weakness. I said, but I'm beginning to think that if we keep saying like we got it all together and we're having the same American experience, well, then when we do start crying racism, they're like, wait, what? I thought you were happy. I didn't know you had any problems. I said something about that experience for me triggered. No, I think we need to start telling people like, no, it's really hard to be a black man. No, if you have a conversation with someone from another community who is like, like people say to me, I'm sure you guys have heard this too, like, is your experience really that different from mine? Let's say, especially if they feel like you're on the same professional level, that, well, because you made it, like, well, then there's no difference. And I'm like, I had to tell this guy that, a physician, that no, you probably ran 10 miles to get where we are, and I've ran 100. Like, it's just a fact, right? And then I began to give him examples. I don't have to give you guys, but because you're black men, the examples of how it's been different. And so what I found about that is being honest about that trauma has been in ways healing and cathartic. Even for people who don't get it all. I don't expect them to understand it all, but sometimes just saying it, right, that I am experiencing this can be, if not, so to speak, better, right, to make it better, but healing for you. And so, yeah, I'm just going to leave with that example. I give you that example because that was a life-changing day for me when that gentleman allowed me into that space. And I wasn't even looking for it. It just happened. But as you said, Dr. Harrison, that seeing a person, I hear it all the time. Veterans tell me all the time, Dr. Graham, I've been coming to the Atlanta VA for 30 years and I never had a black doctor. Please don't leave. Please don't leave. I'm so happy you're here. Like, so to your point, that trust automatically in knowing we have a same shared experience is so powerful. So, yeah.
Wow. All right, you left me kind of speechless there, Dr.
Yeah, no.
I'm still caught up, and Janet Rogers is out there, who is a consistent viewer. I tell you, that thing is sticking with me about how you can fight for your country and be still down on the end part of the river, receiving all the crap that your country has to throw at it, and you still have to defend it. My God, that's a powerful illustration.
It's so powerful because I feel like while it is like it's definitely his truth, right? It's his actual experience. It is literally a metaphor for black men's experience, right? Like, I mean, that's how they feel. And I was telling Dr. Shepard, I literally started a men's group today. Started, the process with about 7 or 8 black men. And one of the things, well, they said a lot of things about like the negative words that they hear or feel about themselves from just society and all that stuff. But one question that they asked me in the group, as I was like asking, like, I want us to talk about all these things, right? Like relationships, masculinity, all of that. I said, what's something that you all want? And they said to me, and these men are typically older than me, they said, well, we would love if we could just get some professional development from you. Just hearing about your experience and how you got to be a doctor, because we don't see that. And these are educators who are educated, right? And black men who have made it, but for them, it's like, but you are up here. And so it gives me that charge, which I'm sure it gives you all when people come into our rooms, like, how do I just pull you up, right? And make you feel safe and then help you out in some way, shape, or form.
Right? Wow. This is good. And it really transitions into our last part of our show today, because I want to be able to do just that. We need to provide some words of encouragement to the black man who's out there listening. I knew that this particular show was going to strike a nerve, and just highlighting it would make some people even say, I don't want to watch this show. It's not for me. That's why I said we need to do it, because I'm coming for you. This is not a time to be afraid. And I like what you were saying, Antonio, about letting people know what you truly feel, letting people know what your experiences are. And I'm there now. I used to sugarcoat it, and I used to even try to give excuses for how people treated me because that's what I was taught to do.
Mm-hmm.
I was taught that you made it this far, just be grateful.
Right.
Oh no, absolutely not. No, 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 no. I am grateful. I'm grateful to God. He has given me the wisdom and the intellect, but I'm also not going to allow for someone to just crap all over me, piss poor, whatever y'all want to say, just because of the color of my skin. Oh
Mm-hmm.
no, absolutely not. And I will utilize, and this is where we sometimes fail. And that's why I wanted to encourage. This is where we got to make sure we learn how to be able to operate intellectually with wisdom and be able to get our point across so that when we do strike, they know that we have said something and that we mean what we say and don't do it again. And that's one of the things that I really strive hard at. And some people say, "Well, you're a little aggressive. Go back off a little bit." No, I'm not aggressive. I am just passionate about what I believe. I'm passionate about my people, and you're not going to rain on my parade. When I see a black young man come in, I'm talking too much now. But when I see him come into my office, I get stirred up, but I also get bothered because I look and see where is it where his dreams got crushed and he's not even 21 years old. Where is it where he lost that motivation to get back up every day, go to school, think that it's not necessary to learn, think that it's not necessary to respect their parents or respect the teachers and that they can do whatever they want to do. It bothers me. So with that said, I want you all to speak now. Provide the words of encouragement. We need to lift up people during this time. Let's lift up the black man because he has been beaten down due to the weights that are carried during this, even during this season. So, Aubrey, go ahead and let's provide these words of encouragement.
Yeah, yeah. For every black man that is watching, um, even you, Dr. Shepard, even you, Dr. Graham, right? You are great. You are amazing. You are beautiful. You are strong. You can be vulnerable. It is okay to cry when you need to. It is okay to seek help. It is okay to look to people as support, right? And you can do whatever you want to do in your life. It is never too late. I don't care if you are 15 watching this or 50, right? You can still achieve your goals regardless. There are people that are willing to help, and we are here to help as well. But I hope you know and feel the love that I have for you, every single black man that is watching this, every black man that will watch this. I love you. I care about you. Um, and I will be here. I don't care. You see me on the street, say hi. Um, you see me on Instagram, say hi. Shoot me a DM, right? I will respond. I will say hi. I will talk to you. All right. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. I'm gonna piggyback on you. This is something that I heard a famous speech by the late great Dr. Maya Angelou said this, and I think this is appropriate for men as well. She said she was breaking down humanism as it relates to black people, and she was talking to an audience primarily of white people. And I say this to black men. This is my ode to you, that you need, because it's a fundamental human need, validation. You need to be loved, and you need to be respected. Those are three fundamental human values. And in particular to black men, Those are three things we need.
Mhm.
And with that being said, as another Black man to other Black men, I see you, I hear you, and I know your value.
Mm.
And because I see you, I hear you, and I know your value, there's really no limit to what you can be or do. The narrative and the lie is that we're not enough. The truth is we're more than enough.
Yeah.
And even if you don't believe that from a biblical standpoint, we are still more than enough, period. And the truth is that I almost think society and maybe even us, we are afraid of really how great we can be. And so what we got to do is tap into that greatness. And what I mean by that is tapping into that greatness is finding whatever it is that is great about you, and meaning your unique talent and gift. We all, every person who is born has a talent or a gift. And if you don't believe that, it's true. It's just a fact. Even if you don't believe it, it's a fact. Find that about you. And once you find it and you discover it, then you begin to work that. I'm sure the three of us here on this call, we all at some point, I'm sure somebody told us either science or math or psychology or you write well or something. Somebody probably spoke to a gift in the three of us. And so it's no accident that we got here. And it's no coincidence. It's hard work, it's nurturing, and it's people speaking into us. And so I say that to say to Black men that I speak into you that all things truly are possible in spite of the narrative, because the narrative is strong that we are not enough. But I tell you, the truth is we are.
Yeah.
Wow. It's one of these shows where literally I felt myself get caught up emotionally because you don't hear that coming from another Black man.
Mm.
And even when you are in a religious institution or part of a religious organization, you don't even hear that like you need to hear that. I'm coming down your lane. It's the truth. And we've got to do a better job of that. It's almost if you do say that, people think that something's wrong with you or that you're coming for them in an inappropriate manner.
Mhm.
That is wrong. We see you, we hear you, and we value you.
Mhm.
And I'm not coming for anything that you have. I want you to grow as strong as I'm growing as strong. That's again why that particular demonstration by OBJ and Debo Samuel was so powerful,
Yeah.
because there's some men of us, the men out there who need that. They need that touch. And one of the things that the COVID-19 has done, it has isolated us and literally made us afraid to touch people again. And I'm hoping, I really am hoping that we can break through that, because that's nothing but something that will adversely affect us. There's nothing wrong. You're not going to catch COVID-19 because I touch you. All right. Thank you. I said it. You ain't going to catch COVID-19 because I touch you on your shoulder. Come on now. We got to quit some of the foolishness. You know, I didn't say kiss you. I just said touch you. I was make you smile just a little bit, but so we gotta hear what these two fine doctors have said, and this has been so impactful. This has been one of our most powerful shows. Let me tell you, and because it's one of the ones that is, I can hear people are really chewing in their mind, churning. That's probably a better word, because they don't know what to do with what has been said, because they've been played down for so long.
Mhm.
I really believe that if we get this word out, people, this show will catch on fire, because people need to hear what has been said.
Yeah.
Thank you. I value you, Dr. Graham. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
the work that you do, because it's not easy working with veterans.
Yeah.
It's not easy working with the population of people who, once they have served, whether they be black or white, that's common. That they feel like they have been forgotten.
Yep.
They feel like they have been thrown away. So thank you for the work that has been done through you, through your medical practice. Thank you, Dr. Aubrey Harrison, and for you continuing to do all that you have done. You have earned your PhD, yet you continue to earn and do more work. Who wants to do more work after you have achieved such a great goal? I mean, you. And it's not because
Yeah.
you're just begging for it, it's because you want to be the best. You want to sharpen your skills. And so I've seen you grow up. I've seen your thirst for knowledge. I know what type of family you come from. And even just because you come from a good family doesn't mean that you have to turn out the way in which your family or the course that they put you on. I've seen so many people divert and run away and say that's not for me. And so thank you for sticking with it, and and continue to show those young men and those people who are part of your group that there is so much more in store for them. Thank you for saying that. Just because the pandemic has hit and shut some people down, has stopped them from dreaming, this is the time that you actually can live your life at the best. Yeah, I know this is a time where dreams really do come true, visions and goals, objectives. This has been awesome. I need to stop because I can go on a little bit more there. So thank you. You've encouraged me today. You really have. You really, really have. And you will be back. You will definitely be back. We will deal with this again because we got to talk more now about the health, the physical health. We've been talking a lot about the mental health, and we really didn't even dive a lot into the mental health, you all. We were just talking about kind of breaking the ice some, but we got to come back, and we're going to have to make this real soon. All right, because once you open up something, you got to be able to continue to divulge and get everything out of it that needs to be. Dr. Graham, where can people find you? I'm gonna put it in the comment. Where can they find your podcast?
Sure. So again, my podcast is "And the Question Is" with Dr. Graham. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Apple Podcasts. I'm on Audible. I am on pretty much I'm almost every platform we have. My whole season 1 is out there, which is about 10, 11 episodes. So please take a listen. My Instagram handle for my podcast is "And the Question Is" with Dr. Graham, like all together, one word. And then my personal Instagram is Doc Graham, DOCGRAH Instagram, and Facebook, just me, Antonio Graham, is how you could find me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Please go hit him up and let's really support that podcast. All right, Aubrey Harrison, where can we find you, sir?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok. Instagram is the Therapy Brothers. That is where me and my brother, we do a lot of content, just trying to support Black men and just people in general. And my TikTok is the Therapy Brother. And so on there, I'm actually doing a new venture where I'm just trying to provide people with content about mental health to really encourage and motivate them throughout their lives. So you can find me on both of those channels. Personal Instagram is h._Aubrey. So hit me up on any one of those. I'll be glad to talk. Yeah.
Wonderful. I hope I have the spelling correct for both of those handles. So please go there. They said they'll talk to you, so trust them. All right, take them up on it. Talk to them. You can try them out. Let me know. Hit me up, and let me know if they talk to you or not. I want to let you know you can always come to Hope Health Systems if you're in need of some mental health care and you know that you're not functioning properly. You know that you are disordered. You know that things are not working out the way in which you know that they can. You're depressed. This is the time to get in for mental health care. And you can, again, go to our website, hopehealthsystems.com, and complete a referral there, and we'll be glad to get you linked up with services there. I'm proud to be the chief medical director of that organization, one of the largest in the state of Maryland. And so want to make sure that you know that we're here for you. All right. Man, I feel so good. I almost don't want to end, but we need to end. So yes, please stay there. Thank you all. We'll look to see you for the next edition of Ask the Doctors. We're going to really play it up for this Black History series. So please stay tuned, share. Thank you again for those who are watching the replays. Really do appreciate all of your time that you give and energy that you give to this show. Until next time, see you later.